What's up, guys? Back with All Ball Talk, the first official episode with both of us here. Shaan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm Shaan. Been friends with Spencer for a while now. Starting this little content creation game. We're
Yeah.
ready to pump out some good content.
Yep. We're excited to share our takes.
Oh yeah.
Today we'll be going over the college football, the playoff semifinals. First game on Thursday. We got Miami Ole Miss. Sean, give us a quick rundown. Obviously three and a half in favor of Miami, but start off with first big points of the game.
All right. Yeah. Of course, Ole Miss, Miami. Miami snuck into the playoff. Right. Snuck in right in front of Notre Dame. A lot of talk about that, but proven to be the right talk. Right.
Yeah.
Miami killed A&M defensively, and then they go in 9.5 point dogs, beat Ohio State. So now this is gonna be an interesting matchup. Same thing with Ole Miss, underdogs against Georgia, and then beat them. So Miami's favored, not surprised. First thing I want to talk about, right? Will Lacey be able to run against that front seven, right?
Yeah.
Kyron Lacey, what, 1,400 yards, 23 touchdowns this year? No one talked about him as a Heisman candidate. I don't know why. I feel like he should have gotten more, respect, more love. But two touchdowns against Georgia was huge late in that game. Will he be able to run against that front seven of Miami? That's, I think, the big question in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Kawan Lacey, obviously star-studded transfer from Mizzou. He's been amazing this year. Miami does have obviously the one of the best defenses in the country. They're really good against the run. I think it's really important. Because if Ole Miss is going to win the game, Kawan Lacey needs to be the guy.
100%. He needs 100
Um,
yards. He needs to be efficient on first down. He's going to need, I think, a touchdown. Keep his streak going. I have no idea how long it is. I think he's got a touchdown every game this season, I
I mean,
think.
at 23, I mean,
I mean,
obviously,
yeah, crazy.
but yeah, I mean, obviously, Trinidad Chambliss is important in the game too. Like he still needs to play at
Of
least
course.
above average. But if they can get
I
the run game
no,
going
no,
and play complementary
I think
football,
I
yeah,
think
that's huge.
Trinidad needs to be elite. He needs to do like exactly what he did against Georgia and probably more.
Yeah. Obviously, I think Miami's a top 10 defense of the country. I
Of
think
course.
their run defense is top 10. They obviously have
Yeah.
um to move on to the next point, they obviously have the star-studded edge rushers, Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain. If they can get the Chambliss, I don't really see a way if they can get to the point where they can load up in the box against Kawan Lacey
Right.
and
Yeah.
force and if they can force Chambliss and make them one dimensional, that should win them the game. But obviously, these are two of the best edge rushers in the country. And what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Do you think
No,
they get to him?
no idea how Ole Miss is going to be able to handle it because we saw Ohio State, one of the better offensive lines in the country, and they couldn't do anything. Julian saying, I don't know how many sacks he took, but he was just under pressure. He had to make a lot of throws with his knees wrapped up. So I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be really tough for this offensive line to stop Bain and Messidor. I mean, I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
mean,
Yeah,
all right. Obviously, I mean, I think Ohio State is definitely a better offensive line than Ole Miss, and to see them dominate, obviously, like you said, is really important. I think that at a minimum, they'll at least one of them will get a sack. I would be shocked if Trinidad is able to stay in the pocket. The good thing about having Trinidad Chambliss though is that he can get out of the pocket, he can make plays, just
definitely.
like he
Yeah,
showed against Georgia.
very, very athletic. 100%.
Yeah.
Way,
So I think
way
that
more athletic than Sand.
yeah, I think that's very different because Sands stays in the pocket. He's super accurate. He throws a poise. Compared to Chambliss, who's better in improvisation when he's outside of the pocket. So that should be really interesting in the game. But yeah. Also a huge point is the coordinators are obviously staying, including Kevin Brown, the running backs coach, and Charlie Weiss. Obviously, the OC is the big name. He's been linked to some NFL jobs lately, which I think it's pretty sure he's not going to take. He's going to be at LSU next year. But Sean, what do you think about them staying? Obviously, after the Georgia game, are you still confident that they're 100% locked in? Because
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, because this week the portal opened, so you
right.
want to know
Yeah,
how much work
it,
they're doing with
it's
that.
tricky. I mean, I'm not in there. It's so tricky. It's hard to gauge it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard for them to be like 100% locked in to this season. I mean, Pete Golding's done a great job. Their coordinators have done a great job. I think Chambliss returning or saying he's going to return because there's speculation of him going to LSU with Kiffin. If he gets the 6th year, he's gonna return to Ole Miss. That's what the reports are. That's a big morale boost, I think, on the team, maybe.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
tricky. It's tricky.
it's definitely because obviously when Lane Kiffin left, you obviously focused on Pete Golding and immediately promoted him hours after Lane Kiffin announced he would leave. It's unknown if Kawan Lacey will follow to LSU and some other big players,
I
but
think I think Lacey was one of the guys who was like close with Kiffin, right? I
yeah,
think
he was
he's
very close to
definitely one of the
Kiffin's.
ones that's gonna go to LSU.
So I think he will probably end up at LSU, but to have Chambliss stay, pretty much announce that he's going to stay if he gets the waiver, I think that's huge. So
Yeah.
that you don't have a quarterback that's kind of 1 foot, one out. Like he's not going to worry about the competitiveness, and that he really bleeds, Ole Miss, and I think it's huge that they're going to have the continuity at the head coaching job and the QB job. I think that's huge for especially this game and the rest of the playoff run if they can extend it.
Yeah, that passion they showed, the dedication they showed after the game. I mean, it was like is not what I was expecting at all. I thought Georgia would handle them. It looked like they're going to handle them after Lacey fumbled it and it was what 21-12 and a half.
Yeah, it
I think
was.
that's what it was. And the resiliency. I mean, they're going to need to be resilient in this game. I think
I
Miami
thought
takes the lead on them.
Yeah, I mean, watching that game, I thought Ole Miss was kind of dead in the water. I thought when there was a 9 point lead at halftime, I thought Georgia should come in and handle business. But just like I believe it was Perkins who said it after the game, he kind of trashed Lane Kiffin and said how that has united them and that they love having a guy who's 100% in. So I think this
Right.
team actually, Lane Kiffin leaving obviously doesn't help them because Lane Kiffin's a super talented coach. But I think having them together, I think they've brought this team has created a bond that obviously it seems like Miami don't have, but I think they have a sense of closeness now that Lane Kiffin's gone. That should really help.
Yeah, that's true. Togetherness.
Well, next up on it, we got we've been talking off camera, we've been talking in person, texting. Shaan has some thoughts about the Georgia Ole Miss game, how Kirby Smart had handled those
Kirby
that
Smart.
last minute. So
Yeah,
I'll give you
it's
the
so
floor.
interesting. I haven't heard anything about it either. But like Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches in college football, two titles. And Kirby Smart, the offensive coordinator, at the end of that game, you're down three, right? You're down three, 34-31, third and goal, about 50, was it 55 seconds left? 55 seconds left, I would say.
It was something like that. I think they were on what,
Somewhere
like
around
they
there.
were on the
And the
6 yard
key
line or
thing
was it the
is,
4 yard line? It was one of the two.
yeah, it was like the 5 yard line.
5 yard line.
Ole Miss, no timeouts. And Kirby Smart, the offensive coordinator, they decide to throw. In a game where earlier in the game, third and nines and third and passes, they've been throwing like bubble screens and running the ball. They haven't put any faith in Stockton all game. And he throws it there. And the main thing is if he throws it and it's incomplete, which it was, it saved
Stops the
all
clock.
that
Yeah.
time for Ole Miss. It stopped the clock. If you just run it with Stockton and you tick that clock to about 15, kick the
Yeah.
field goal, Ole Miss has no chance. You go to overtime. Or even if you run it, get it to like the 1 yard line, and you decide you want to go for it, win the game, do that. You can do that. Why are you throwing the ball? I have no idea. Was he not thinking that?
I
Because
I personally thought that. I agreed. I was like, run the clock. You're gonna get it down to what? I think it was it like 20 seconds? Kick
yeah,
the
you would have
field goal.
gotten it down, I think under 20 with the
Yeah,
kick, with the kickoff, would have been under 20.
they don't. Yeah, the kickoff would take what at least like six seconds off
If you
at
made it
least.
returnable, yeah.
So I mean, like you're gonna make them go length of the field in 10 seconds with no timeouts. That's
And the way
basically
the way
impossible.
Chambliss was throwing it, the way Chambliss was throwing it prior, and then he threw that nice touchdown pass before. I mean, the two drives ago, where he had three of the most incredible plays I've seen in college football. The shovel pass, the throw where he's running in circles on the third and
I
seven.
mean,
He
three
found
straight.
Lacey. I mean,
Yeah, that
the
was
way he was
unbelievable.
throwing it, it just made sense that he hit the guy at the end of the game. And then they're obviously their elite kicker, Carniero. I had no idea this guy before entering the game. He just He's just belting 55, 57 yarders early in the game to keep him in it. Clutch 47 yarder. I mean, we just saw Tyler Loop yesterday. He just choked that game away. This Carnero kid is apparently elite.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
he's
I
earned
don't
himself an NFL paycheck.
know.
But
100%.
yeah. Um, so on the Miami side, to win this game, obviously, Ole Miss, they have to establish a run game. Chambliss has played above average game. I think they have a good shot to win, but I think Miami's a very reasonable favorite. It's really important that obviously we saw Nate Frazier kind of run a little bit all over the Ole Miss defense, the Ole Miss front. So we think it's super important that Mark Fletcher needs to stay hot as he's played. Like he played really well against Texas A&M. He played well against Ohio
Yeah.
State last week. it's extremely important to get him going because the Ole Miss front is gettable and they're not like Ohio State or maybe even Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that, I mean, you look at Carson Beck, the way he's played, the stats, the last two games, they haven't popped out your screen like at
Yeah,
all. But like, 150 touchdown, maybe. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's mainly because this run game with Fletcher, with Beck a little bit, with a little bit of Tony, they're giving him 2, 3 carries a game. It's been really good, and they're gonna need it again. I think against Ole Miss.
yeah. And I feel
Don't
like this run game for a good portion of the year hasn't been. They haven't been elite like
No,
they have
it
been.
hasn't been there, no. But
But
now
we're
it's
seeing
there.
Mark Fletcher run hard. He's breaking through tackles. Obviously in
He's
that A&M
fresh.
game, he
He's
looked
fresh.
unbelievable.
They've been minimizing his carries over the past few years. He's
Yeah,
pretty
and
prepared here.
he's showing how good he is now. And that's huge. But
100%.
so obviously with Malachi Tony, he's been double teamed. He's been minimized because teams are having a lot of focus on him. And obviously, I think CJ Daniels, he's been playing a little banged up. I think he's not 100%. It's
Mhm.
been known, but it's important that he needs to step up because Miami needs some receiving weapons to complement the running game with Mark Fletcher. I think
Yeah,
it's huge.
and especially if they're going to take Tony away, it's going to be Keelan Marion, who's been putting together a nice end of the season here. He's big on the outside, a nice 7, 8 yard guy who can catch the ball short, a little bit of run after the catch. And they had Daniels. Obviously, his talent's there. He's obviously a little banged up, but he's going to be a big factor in this game too. When they decide to throw the ball, if Tony's taken away, those second, third option guys, because those are the main guys that Beck throws it to.
Yeah, it's huge. As you mentioned before, Carson Beck, he needs to be the kind of like the game manager that he's been the last couple of times.
Yeah,
Unlike I believe the week one of or it was week one or two, the Notre Dame game, he was kind of like I thought he was trying to be a little bit of a hero a little bit too much. He was trying to
a
be,
little bit too much. Yeah, they
I
threw the
mean,
ball a lot, and he almost threw the ball away in that second half.
yeah, I mean, he's the best. Carson Beck is probably the best when he's able to just sit in the pocket and he makes throws with ease when he's
Makes
not
the right
trying to
throws,
escape,
makes
trying
the
to
right
make big
runs.
throws.
Yeah,
He's the perfect game manager. He reminds me a little bit of it might not be perfect, but he reminds me a little bit of Kirk Cousins a little bit
right.
in the
Well,
sense,
it's tricky because you don't think of a game manager in college, but I mean
yeah,
the college game has been so NFLized.
yeah,
It's almost like Carson Beck. He just needs to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over. He needs to make the right play, let the run game do it, and most importantly, he's got to let the defense win him the game.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Miami has a good chance because their defense is so good that they could force a couple of 3-and-outs. And if they can run the ball effectively with Mark Fletcher, they could choose so much clock. Like,
So
I
much
mean,
fun.
if they can just run it, and then guess what? 3rd and 4, Carson Beck, you got to throw, maybe like a tight curl or an out. Like that's all you really need. Like he just needs to make
I mean,
couple of big
and
throws.
and and he's a veteran, Carson Beck. He's been doing this. He sat behind Bennett, Stetson Bennett for 2 years. Played at Georgia, played here. I don't know if his eligibility's run out yet. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
got a year left.
Yeah, I think it's super important to have a veteran QB. I think that's kind of someone like a guy who's experienced. I think that's a little slept on. Like obviously, like Will Howard had multi years of
Yep.
starting
The
experience.
transferred in, and then yeah,
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, he was starting experience. Riley Leonard last year.
right,
And
exactly,
obviously Aller, he didn't. I mean, he performed well throughout the playoffs, but the Notre Dame game, he kind of showed that maybe he's
right,
not amazing.
yeah,
But
100%.
yeah,
I think about this Ole Miss Miami game. It's going to be between Trinidad Chambliss. He's going to need to be a superstar. He's going to need to be like all that you can need and more. And it's going to be Carson Beck. Can he game manage the game? Can he make sure that he doesn't lose the game? I think that's what it's between.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing tweets that have Trinidad Chambliss as QB3 in the draft if he were to go pro.
If you were to,
I mean,
I mean, based
I
off just the last game, I wouldn't say no, but no.
I don't know. Like, if you really think about it, like, what are the other QBs, right? Dante Moore
It's
is going
true.
to go out.
It's true. It's true.
Mendoza, who is the third behind them? Like, I literally can't even think of one quarterback.
No, I mean all
It's insane. Like,
it's the funniest graphic of all time for preseason where they show Sellers, Nussmeyer, Aller,
all
Klubnik,
of
all
them,
those guys.
Klubnik,
They're
and
so bad. It's,
they're gone
it's
now. Like, they're
crazy.
not.
Yeah,
Like, we're gonna have Diego Pavia going in the 6th round. This is how bad the
yeah,
quarterback class is. But
crazy.
other than that, yeah. So I think that's pretty much all we have. So let's go to predictions.
Predictions. All
Start
right,
first.
I'll go first. So I think Miami gets it done. I think they run the ball well. I think the defense plays well. It's going to be something I don't think Chambliss has seen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm going to go 27-19 Miami. I think it'll
27-19
be
Miami.
lower scoring for a college game.
I think that's a healthy win there, though. Do you see like you think it's kind of a late score by Ole Miss, or do you think that the game is
And maybe
kind of,
that's what I'm kind of thinking. If Miami can jump early, like they jumped on Ohio State, right?
yeah,
They jumped on Ohio State, made them come back against a really tough defense. I think that's something what they're going to do here.
yeah,
Jump early, and then Ole Miss is going to have to come back late in the game, and it's just going to fall short. That's kind of what I'm thinking here.
yeah? I personally see. I think Miami wins comfortably. I don't think it's two scores. I think Trinidad Chambliss is honestly like he's so hot right now. I just don't see a way that they can actually effectively keep him out of the game. I actually think this comes more down to I think Miami dominates off on offensively. I think a game ends up more like 28. I think that it's 28 to like 23-24. I think that Ole Miss scores because I think the Ole Miss offense is actually I don't really know. They're not better than Ohio State, but I think that Trinidad Chambliss is everything of Julian Sand with legs, in my opinion. I think that Trinidad Chambliss
Well,
is a
that's
better
true.
quarterback than Sand right now.
They have a very underrated offense, I think.
Yeah, like
Really,
it's
really,
sneaky. Like
the weapons they have, Stribling, Wallace, Caden Lee, the big tight end, right? I mean, they
yeah,
have weapons.
and just like they showed last week, they have the ability to come back, and like they're not dead in the water.
Resilient.
Like I feel like we kind of showed with Ohio State against Indiana, and Miami that they kind of struggle when Sand's forced to throw the ball almost every play. I
Right, yeah.
mean,
They
they
need
did
a
run it with
runner.
Bo Jackson a good amount, but when Sand's forced to make throws, he's inexperienced. He's a redshirt freshman. He's not. But I think it's huge because Trinidad Chambliss obviously he's playing at the D2 level, but I think he has experience
Yeah,
playing
experience for
quarterback
sure.
in big games. But yeah, I'm personally gonna go. I think Miami's gonna go 28-23. I think almost scores enough points to keep it close. I don't think they cover 3.5. Um, but I
Yeah,
like Miami to move on. But I
I like
think that
Miami.
Trinidad Chambliss should show why he is a really like a top five quarterback in the sport right now.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, well, let's move on to the next game, the Friday game, Oregon versus Indiana, Big Ten showdown. Obviously, two top five teams. Oregon
Yep.
got the 5 seed, the easy draw. They drew James Madison, obviously, who is trash. I mean, that was that
Right.
35-3 at halftime.
Yeah, it was over before it started.
Yeah. And then they just dominated. They shut out Texas Tech.
Dominated.
Obviously, played an easy schedule. We don't really know how good they really are, but
Right.
yeah. So Indiana, number one team in the nation. They're hot in the transfer portal recruiting trail right now,
Right, yeah.
and they're hot on the field. So we'll see. Um, I think to start off, I think the biggest thing is last game, Dante Moore got sacked. What was it, 6 times you said?
Yeah, right. They played each other earlier in the year in Autzen, in Oregon, and it
Mhm.
was 30-20. Indiana beat them 30-20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, Dan Lanning, he's gonna preach physicality. He's gonna
Right.
say you guys got utterly dominated by that front the whole time.
Earlier I told you there's one guarantee I can guarantee. I can guarantee you that probably right now at 2:30 that we're filming this, Dan Lanning is chewing at his offensive line, at his defensive line constantly, reminding them how they got bullied the entire game against India. 6 sacks. I mean, that's horrible. The offensive line gave up 6 sacks. I think they're gonna come out more physical. That thought's gonna be in their mind the entire week. I do think this is a little bit of a revenge game for Dan Lanning. Like this is personal for the offensive line, the defensive line in Oregon, and I do think they're gonna come out stronger.
Yeah, I think 100% Dan Lanning needs to show that he can win big games because he hasn't really won a big game yet. I mean, he obviously he won the Big Ten championship last year, but what has he really shown? He obviously he couldn't defeat DeBoer in his first couple of years at Oregon.
Yeah, the big Pac-12 championship loss. Yeah,
Last year was his year. He could have made a run last year, and he choked against Ohio State, which obviously Ohio State, that team,
I mean Ohio State. Yeah,
they're one of
that's
the
a
best teams.
horrible,
They're probably one of the
horrible
best teams of
second
all
round
time.
draw.
But
Horrible. Yeah.
for a team that you would beat, you can't just get utterly dominated like that. Like that was unbelievable. Like
Yeah, no, that I think he was over before it started. Jeremiah Smith got what, like 60, 70 yards that first. Yeah, that was bad.
yeah. Um. Also, the huge thing for Oregon is they get all their weapons back. Everyone's fully healthy.
Everyone's fully healthy.
They
You got
address that.
Jacorian, Sadiq, all those guys.
Yeah, DeCorian Moore. He missed a couple games. Gary Bryant.
Gary Bryant's back up.
Yeah. It's huge. And obviously they have the three man running back. They got Whittington,
Mm-hmm.
De'Ara Hill, and
And Davidson, the freshman.
Davison. Is it Jordan?
Jordan Davidson, yeah.
Jordan Davison. Yeah. So that I
He's
mean
got
that's
double
three.
digit touchdowns this year.
Huh?
Very solid. He's very solid. Double digit touchdowns this year.
Yeah. So I don't really know how they were against Indiana the first time around, but I think that Oregon has definitely evolved as a team. That was what week
Yeah.
five, week five,
Yeah, week 5, week 6, around
week
there.
five or week
The
six,
first
somewhere around there.
bit. Well, that was the Oregon was coming off that Penn State win. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
big
Yeah.
game.
And that at the time, that was a huge win.
Yeah,
Obviously,
right. Yeah,
Penn State, they still have talent. They're still a super talented team. Obviously, they
right,
took Indiana the last play with that crazy Omar Cooper catch.
right.
Probably the catch of the year. I mean, that was insane. Um, People can say that was Mendoza's Heisman moment where he led the team down the field. But
Right. Yeah.
Oregon, like you said, this seems personal for them. Like they did, like the fact they
I
got
think it
out
will be.
physical. But yeah, I'm excited to see how it is.
This is gonna be, I think, in terms of hype and gameplay, it's gonna be one of the best college football matchups like in the last 5-10 years. Like it's,
Yeah,
I think this is the matchup. This is gonna be it. The winner of this game, I would pick in the national championship.
yeah. I actually think that. I think that Oregon actually matches up better with Miami than Indiana does, in my
Yeah,
opinion. I think because I think just the way it is I feel like Indiana plays a little bit slower. Like
that's true.
and if Oregon Miami was a national championship, if Oregon start off the game with a couple of deep shots or a couple, they could have some quick chunk plays, drives, get Kenyon Sadiq and Decorian Moore going. Like I think they have a better shot at beating Miami than Indiana.
Yeah,
Obviously, I think that either team would be favored against Miami. I think that's pretty safe to say, right?
yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say.
I think that Oregon would be like a field goal spread. I think Indiana would probably be like 4.5 compared to kind of like those Oregon spread.
Probably.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this should be like you said, this should be an insanely competitive game. The Big Ten runs the sport right now.
I mean,
Who
I think probably the two best coaches, right? Two best coaches right now. I mean, maybe you could say Kirby, but the way Signetti's played, Lanning the
I
last
think
couple of years,
Signetti he has to be number one, right?
to Signetti, I think he has to be.
I don't know who else would be, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument for Lane to be in the top three.
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of tough. I feel like I would put Lane and Lanning kind of in the same tier.
He doesn't have any SEC like championships, right? He's no natties, obviously.
That's a good point.
And I mean, he's been consistent, I think.
Well, you'd think Ryan Day. I think Kirby would definitely be number one,
Ryan Day
two.
too.
Ryan Day.
Ryan
I
Day.
think Ryan Day would round out the top three. But yeah, I mean, who
Yeah.
would have thought the last SEC team remaining would be Ole Miss?
Yeah, right. That's
I don't
crazy.
think anybody would have thought that. I think the whole year, I think they were probably picked against, even against like teams like Oklahoma. Like
Yeah,
I think,
Georgia, Bama, you'd think not Ole Miss. That's crazy.
yeah, who would have thought? But for on the Indiana side, um, obviously they ran the ball effectively in the first game in Austin. That needs to be a huge thing. Roman Hemby obviously had a crazy game last week. He looked really good, and so did is it I
Keelan
forgot the
Black,
first
yeah.
name, Black.
Yeah.
That running back tandem has really cemented themselves into
It's as
being,
good as it gets.
yeah, very good. Um, this is huge that Charlie Becker was not in the first game. Charlie Becker he exploded. What was that like week 8? I mean, he
Yeah, later
exploded
in the
like
year, I think when Surratt went down, it was the
yeah,
Becker
when
show.
Saran went
Yeah,
down,
for a little
he
bit.
he really exploded, and he was like this. He's this crazy deep ball threat, which is something that Oregon didn't see in the first game. They're going to scout for now, but it's
Right.
interesting. Obviously, you talked about Elijah Surratt in the first game. So
Surratt, yeah, I was looking at stats. Surratt had 121. Yeah, 8 balls for 121, and then he obviously caught that. He iced the game with that back shoulder third down touchdown at the end of the game. So I mean, Surratt's going to be a huge factor in this one. Are they going to shadow Finney with them? If you watched the Oregon Texas Tech game last week, you saw that DJ Finney with 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. I think. I
yeah,
mean, he
I
was
think
he was the best player on the field.
he's 100%. I think that he's definitely the second best DB in the Big Ten behind Caleb Downs. Probably the best corner, you would think.
What I mean, he's a freshman. He's a freshman.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
that's the most
two years
insane
down
thing.
the road, whenever he goes to the draft, he's gonna be a top 10 pick. I think.
Yeah. And obviously they have Dylan Tianneman in the back in the secondary too.
Him and Mateo Ugalele.
Yeah. Bear
Uh,
Alexander has been really good this year.
Yep.
In what
Bryce
his
Whitaker.
was it his third school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, we're he's a weird college career, but it looks like he's ending it on a good note. Yeah, or the Oregon defense, they have the horses to stop Indiana. Like, I mean, well, what was the score of the game last week between Indiana and Ohio State? Because Ohio State was it 20? Why am I for? Or no, sorry, why am I thinking that? No, the Big Ten championship game.
Big Ten
Well,
championship game, Indiana, Ohio
oh,
State.
13-10, 13-10.
13-10. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Jay Fielding.
Yeah, that
Missed that
was
field goal.
27-yard kick.
Yeah.
After he said he was good from 16 in, that was pretty funny. But definitely Oregon, they're not the level of defense as Ohio State, but they just shut out Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is they're a good offense. Like even though they didn't really play much
Yeah.
comp, they're a really good offense. So um, I think they have the chance to stop Indiana. But
It's Indiana,
you want to get
the
to
Indiana
predictions?
offense. The Indiana offense, I mean, looks unstoppable, right? The
Yeah,
way they played Bama. So it's going to be interesting for Oregon. The main thing I think is if they can play run defense against Texas Tech like they did last week, because if you take away the big Jacoby Williams 50-yard rush, they gave up 28 rushing yards to Texas Tech. That's it. If they can limit Indiana on first to second down, and force them into third and sixes, third and sevens, limit them on first down like 1-2 yard runs, that's going to be huge. Force Mendoza in to pass first situation where he's like must pass. I think that's the best way you got to get stops on Indiana.
yeah, and even though I think Bama sacked him what 5 times I think in the game was
I think it was
twice in
what
the
three
opening
or four.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's proven like you can get to Mendoza, but they don't let it affect them. But if you can force them into third and long, like you can get to the quarterback. Like it's
If
not
you force them into enough third and fourth downs, you know what I mean?
the offensive line has been really good for Indiana, but they've had games where they've given up a good amount of sacks. Like it hasn't been all great. Obviously they were getting completely glazed on the broadcast. If you were hearing that, just nonstop, just about
Oh,
Indiana.
they won the MVP, didn't they?
Yeah, they won the MVP. I
Packers
mean,
won the MVP.
they dominated Bama. You can't say anything about that.
I
Like
mean that is true, but
especially in the
I
run
mean
game, but yeah.
that's true.
So for my prediction, I'm gonna go. I think Oregon wins on a field goal. Was it Atticus Sappington? He's a good kicker, and I feel like I
I've
trust him
watched
to
a
big
lot of
moment.
Oregon games to know that Atticus Sappington is
You don't think he's
I don't
good?
know, yeah,
He's had some issues. What was it?
ever since he missed that kick in Washington in regular season when they had Penix, they had like a
Yeah,
40-yard kick to win it, and he was a horrible kick. He hooked it. He's
yeah.
been
I don't
kind of
know.
shaky. I don't know.
In my opinion, though,
I
I
can't
think I,
trust Sappington.
I think I would trust an experienced kicker. He's had to kick
He's
in a lot of
experienced. He's
big games,
experienced.
a ton of big games. So I trust him. Um, I actually think that this is actually a low scoring game. I
Yeah.
think both them are actually really good. Um, both defenses are super talented. Aiden Fisher on Indiana, D'Angelo Pons, are huge players to note. With Dylan Tiananmen, Brandon Finney, Ugalele.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna take Oregon to win 20-17. I think that it's a game winning. I think it's a game winning field goal from Atticus
Game
Sappington.
winning field.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Indiana is the only thing that worries me is it is so hard to go 16-0 in a season. It's so
yeah,
hard. I mean, maybe it's a little bit easier when you play no one in your first 3 weeks and it's all FCS schools, maybe. But 16-0 in a season to put together 16 wins, it's going to be tricky for Indiana. And I do think out of this week and next week, if they do advance, one of these games, they're good. They're going to stumble a bit. They're going to not look as crisp. They're going to not look as fresh. It's going to have to come down to it at the end. They're going to need, clutch Heisman Mendoza. And I do think that there's a chance if Oregon can stop them defensively on the run early and downs, force them to those third downs. If Oregon's fourth down efficiency is better, last week against Texas Tech, they missed four fourth downs, all in field goal range or gettable, continue to drive range. So if they can create some better fourth down plays, figure out a way to convert those, they can stop Indiana's run. At least just limit it. You can't give up the 200 yards to get up to Bama last week. They have the playmakers, Decory Moore, Kenyon Sadiq, Gary Bryant, the running backs, Dante Moore. Obviously, him and Mendoza, they're going to go 1 and 2 in the draft next year. So
Yeah.
This could be a big indicating game to see who goes one and who see who goes two.
Do you see any way that Dante Moore can jump to the number one pick if he outperforms Mendoza like that?
And yeah, I can see a way where Mendoza does not play well, and Dante Moore, if they win, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I can definitely see it. Yeah. So what's your score prediction?
So score prediction, I think I'm gonna lean Oregon. I'm gonna say Indiana comes out slow. I'm gonna say Indiana has a chance. They're down 24-23. Mendoza has a chance to win it at the end, and something happens. Oregon gets stopped. They get a pick. They miss a field goal. Something happens. 24-23 Oregon.
Oh, that's a
Really
huge that
close. Really good game. I
that's
think that
bold.
that's my little bold prediction, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going against the national media darling in Mendoza, the Heisman winner.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been forced into many situations where he's had to do that. Really
Right.
just
That's true.
really just
Well, I
Penn
mean,
State
other than the
really.
Penn State game, right?
That's
Which he
really
did
it.
show it. He did show it. That was
Yeah.
huge.
But I don't know. That Penn State game didn't mean as much as this Oregon game in the college football semifinal. So I think it's
It's
completely
true.
different. But yeah, I'm excited to see how it works out.
Do you know if is the Oregon game in Atlanta or is it Fiesta Bowl or is it Peach Bowl?
I'm not sure. I didn't look.
I'm trying to look this up because if it's Fiesta Bowl, Oregon plays in a lot of Fiesta Bowls. Could have home field crowd. Although Indiana so they're at the Peach Bowl, so I think it's going to be mostly 50-50.
Yeah.
They're in Atlanta.
Just um yeah, I think that it should be a very fun game to watch. This is obviously huge.
Yep.
Um it's great. I think this is four new teams that if someone would have correctly predicted this is the college football playoff, I'd give it $1 million. But that I would never believe that. That's
Yeah,
insane.
I
But
mean, I think what Miami won the Natty in 01, but none of these teams. I don't know if they have. I don't know if Ole Miss has. I know Oregon hasn't. I know Indiana hasn't.
yeah. Yeah, but that does it for our college football playoff previews of the semifinals. Should be super super entertaining games. I think both games are going to be very watchable.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
There's no way either. I don't see a way that either game ends in a blowout, so they should be super fun.
Yeah,
But
unless that Ole Miss offensive line just deteriorates and
yeah, that
Sim
would be the only
makes
way.
mistakes early. But yeah, I think that Ole Miss's offense will keep it close, and I think that the Indiana Oregon game is just gonna be back and forth. Who's gonna have the momentum at the end?
Yeah,
It's so close.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. That concludes the first official video with both of us. This is a huge
All right,
moment, but
it's awesome.
yeah, we'll see you guys next one.